We're at UA92, guys. It's great to be here. We're at episode 22 of the Sofa Stories podcast. We're recording this right now. This is our first experience recording an episode in front of a live audience. So good morning, and thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming, guys. What a brilliant place this is.
It's awesome.
It's nothing like when I went to uni.
No, it's got a great vibe, great feel to it. What was it like when you were at uni?
Oh, it's just everyone was rushing around, hungover and everything like that. Everyone looks very fresh-faced, and I don't know, just like everyone was... Look, we got here at 9 o'clock and this wellness event kicked off at 9:30, but everyone's here. Whether that's stemmed down from the class of 92, always on, from Sir Alex Ferguson, punctual. But that was definitely an observation. I was saying that to Renee and Mike before. I just said, everyone was calm. The coffee's good. You're enjoying the coffee? Yeah, the coffee's good here at Cafe 92. Oh, that's a Cafe Nero, but I had Cafe 92 Starbucks, a bit of bugs.
Can everybody hear us okay, by the way? Yeah. Perfect.
Even the guy in the back, is that all right? Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Sweet, man. Come to the front if you want. There's no rules, man. There's no rules.
Absolutely. So, just to give you a bit of context as to who we are. So it's Nick Bianchi and Ollie Dunn, a.k.a. Ollie the Choc. So I'm a chocolatier and Nick is background family business furniture retail. So Nick has a famous store in Macclesfield called Origi Bianchi. And so we both have that in common, that we've come from a family business. So my mum and dad have a chocolate shop. When I was younger, mum and dad used to make chocolates from home. So I grew up surrounded by chocolate. And the thing we have in common, I'll let you explain that, Nick. What do we have in common?
Well, I think we all, Ollie's known as Ollie the Choc. I'm probably known as Nick the Sofa, and I've got a furniture family business in Macclesfield. Does anyone know Macclesfield? Anyone in the room? You know Macclesfield, yeah. You'll see our building on the left if you're going down towards London, and it's a big Grade 2 Victorian building. But we've all both, and it's very interesting doing our research on UA92 about preparing you, what the work they do to prepare you as the students in personal development. But we've always gone into uncharted territory. So it's not uncommon for Ollie to be asked to host an event, a property awards event in Manchester at the Midland Hotel, which has nothing to do with chocolate. And so throughout our career, whilst we're known as, family business owners, we've all decided to go into other territories. So that's that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think working, for me, it was my dad wanted me to go into the family business, and who wouldn't when it's chocolate? That's what I did. But I also wanted to put my own spin on it, so I started doing chocolate parties. So I do kids' birthday parties, corporate events, put my own spin on it. I wanted to be a presenter, funnily enough, and I used chocolate to leverage that so that I could perfect that skill of presenting. And it enabled me to kind of segue then, as Nick said, into doing other events outside of chocolate. But what Nick's always done for me is inspired me by saying, Ollie, no rules. You don't have to just stay in the box of being chocolatier. And Nick's gone from furniture retail into starting his own gin brand, worked in football for a while. I'll let Nick explain. And then, of course, podcasting, presenting. Nick also hosts live events, live auctions and things like that. So what we're really hoping that by us sat here today and sharing our stories and experiences with you, it ties in with well-being for today especially, but hopefully it triggers some ideas and thoughts, and we are going to do a Q&A at the end, so we just want to really dig into this as much as we can.
I think you're absolutely right, and one of the things for today is the Wellness Festival here at UA92. One of the key things is one of the pillars is social, isn't it? And learning from others, and throughout our careers and life, we've listened to others, learned from others, and but we learn from you. So
absolutely, you know what? It's so true, and I think for me, through life, I've learned more through meeting people than reading books, or definitely learned from listening to podcasts and audio books, and maybe that's the way that I absorb information. Anyone else like that? Prefer to audio than And there's no right or wrong way, but I think that's the great thing about UA92, that there's no one size fits all. Everybody learns differently, everybody's inspired by different things, and it's more targeted. That's what we love about it.
Would you be in the morning or the afternoon? I'm an early bird, so I would be all over the UA92 AM shift. What about you?
I don't know, actually. I'm just so sporadic, and I have no routine whatsoever. So one day I might be an early bird because I got an early night for once in my life, like last night. And most days perhaps I'd be a bit later. So I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we're here talking about well-being, and I think for us, well-being is so important, in coping with real issues like anxiety and everything like that.
Yeah, let's face it. Look, you see two guys here talking quite confidently in front of you guys. I'll be honest, I was terrified about doing public speaking. I hated the sound of my own voice, even though I wanted to be a presenter. So that was a bit of a conflict, wasn't it? I wanted to do this thing, but was terrified of it. Maybe that was the appeal, was kind of going through the fear of doing it. And I truly believe that by doing that, a repetition of doing that, you do become better and more confident at it. But yeah, it's quite funny. We've definitely not always been, I don't know about you, have you always been confident?
No, you always get those nerves. I mean, I presume here you have to do presentations or you have to stand up, and it's good to have a bit of nerves, I think.
Nerves are good, and we speak about this a lot. Like, well, sometimes before we do something, say, are you nervous? I'm like, yeah, a bit, but I think it's like turning that into more adrenaline, more excitement than the fear of like not being trapped by the fear. Yeah.
What I love about UA92, their mantra, mission statement is unlocking greatness. There's greatness in this room,
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody's got that. So for me, I started doing chocolate parties when I had no experience really doing public speaking or anything. I just literally offered it as a way to make extra money. And before I knew it, I started taking bookings for kids' parties. Took a booking, I had to go knock at the door at this person's house. I was terrified, thinking I actually hope they don't answer and that it's some sort of hoax, because I was that scared. But by putting myself in that situation, I was forced to actually respond and do well, and I didn't want to feel awkward and do badly, so I had to force myself to do well. And through the repetition of doing that, and it's like with social media as well. I remember the first time I did a video, I was stuttering and stuff, and having to do about 30 takes. Couldn't stand the way I looked, the sound of my voice. But people say that the camera. So anyone here into content creation, just out of interest, or might want to do that at some point?
Yeah,
cool.
In the red, yeah.
That's great. And I think it's the best advice I would give you is just repetition. Just do it. That I can't enough kind of explain that.
Emphasize that we've got a saying that in life you can ready. Good morning. How are you? How are you doing? You all right? You okay? Good. So we literally just kicked off. We just chatted a bit about who we are, but yeah, missed nothing there. Like the trousers.
I like the trousers.
Thank you. They are Ollie the Chalk. You'll be all over those.
It's all communication. Like, so I was sat good like merch. Where you are. So I don't know if anyone follows Gary V on Instagram, or hands up if you know who I'm talking about. Gary V. Yeah. So I went to see him in a live podcast setting at Vayner Media in London, and he was sat here on the panel. They were talking a lot about social media, obviously, and TikTok and algorithms and YouTube. And I was wearing some pants. They were a statement like those, which I love. And he just said, there's a lot of fashion in the room. And he looked at me and I was like, yeah, that's cool. And he said, there's a lot of fashion in the room. It's all communication. And that's what it is. It's a form of communication, isn't it? Like what we wear. I always say it's a conversation starter. Someone will say, oh, I like your pants. Cheers. Where are they from? And then before you know it, you're having a conversation about something else. Everyone's got a story. Everyone's got something to offer to help. We can all help each other, but we've got to have that conversation. So I think I'm really passionate about communication, and that's probably why I wish I was wearing them now. But that's why I'm, passionate about wearing wild clothes and just being, as Nick and B always says, make yourself memorable.
MYM. It's so important. But one of the kind of key pillars of well-being is, sleep, health. Are you a good sleeper?
I can be, but I have a little girl who's 3, so not always, and it's always daddy for milk in the night, so it's slightly broken, but I'm pretty good at sleeping. I do value it, but we did a podcast with an influencer couple called Victor and Alana.
Anyone know Victor and Alana? They're on Instagram. They're big followers. Yeah.
You check them out. Check out the episodes on Sober Stories as well if you get a chance, particularly this one. There's an episode with Victor and Alana, and they speak a lot about sleep. And like Nick, he tracks it on his Whoop, and I think sometimes sleep is undervalued. I can probably undervalue it. If I had a bad day or a bad week, I probably look back and have I been sleeping well? Probably not. I could probably be more hydrated. I could probably drink less alcohol. I could probably drink less coffee. I could probably sleep better. And it's the little tweaks, I think, sometimes that make a huge difference.
I think, like you say, on sleep, the trouble is, I've got a Whoop here. I mean, I've got the trouble with the Whoop. It tells you if you slept badly, it tells you slept badly. Then it just puts you into.
Does it actually say that? You slept almost.
Yeah, it's just names and shames you. You've had 4 hours sleep and you should have 9 or something. But no, I think it was quite interesting on that the influencer or content creator Victor, he was like, he shapes his whole life around sleep. So if he's got an awards night or he's got to go there, he's got to go, I've got to be out of here for 9:30 because I've got to wake up at 8, so I need my 8 hours of sleep. I'm probably not that rich. I know I can wing it and get by on no sleep, but...
On that note, we're talking about well-being, we're talking about sleep, exercise, things like that. I think we've all got... you come into this life, nobody gives you a handbook and goes, right, those are the things you need to do in order to be your best self, to be the sharpest, most focused, best person. You have to figure that out for yourself, don't you? And what works for me might not work for Nick and you guys and vice versa. So I just want to think about the tools that we use in order to be that best version. And Nick, I know, but I'll let you tell the ladies and gents here.
Well, the experience happened 2 years ago. And I was playing golf in Northern Ireland, and then we'd had a few beers in the clubhouse, and someone said, before we play golf tomorrow, we'll jump in the high seas. High seas? In Northern Ireland. Do you know how cold it is in the Irish Sea? So I was like, yeah, do it. Anyway, it was absolutely freezing. It was May, so it'd been just after, it was still freezing, probably about 4 degrees. But I felt incredible. And what that did when we flew back from Belfast to Manchester, I thought about it, and I thought, that has made me feel positive because my dopamine levels have gone really high. I just feel so much energy.
Anyone here into the cold water?
Please, someone.
Love it.
Brilliant. What's your name, sir? Luke. Fantastic. I mean, for me, you're asking about what tools do we do, but it's not just that. And I keep a journal, and I think I'm up to about 311 ice baths I've done every day. This morning was a bit of a rush because you never know with the traffic going from Cheshire to Manchester. Just even on the A56, I was like, oh my God, I want to be like UA92. I've got to be half an hour early for a night.
Yeah.
But it was, I had a cold shower, but that starts, probably the same with you, Luke. It's rhythm and rigor. It's every day, but I get a bit of anxiety as well. And that just, for me, suppresses that anxiety, just having that cold water, but just massive positivity.
Really good point. I think I did want to touch on anxiety, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Like I said earlier, you see two guys sat here talking confidently. We have bad days, we have anxiety, and it's learning ways to transition that. I think we have got the power to transition it. Sometimes I feel that I have to transition it. So if I'm coming into a room like this, speaking in front of people, if I'm hosting an event, if I'm doing a corporate or a kid's chocolate party, I've got no choice than to transition into Ollie the Choc. The bandana goes on, and there's no way I can take whatever's going on into that. And I always come away from that transition. It's almost like I've tricked my mind or tricked my brain into just being happy again and being positive. So I think it's recognising the things that you do. I also would say if I pick up the phone and ring a mate I've not spoke to for a while, because I think the phone call can often be forgotten, and the value of that is we forget. If I speak to a friend on the phone for 20 minutes, I come off usually absolutely buzzing, and it transitions my state of mind.
Is that a certain thing? I mean, we're obviously different generations here, but picking up a phone, I think is a really, really important point. We're loving the fact having these live audience. Just a show of hands, do you call people? You do? That's really positive.
Love it. Love that.
The majority.
Yeah. Well, hands up if you voice note people as well.
No, I love a voice note. Jock and I love a voice note.
Hands up if you voice note over text. Voice note
Compton,
over text.
You need to record this. This is UA92, best in class, you see. They're just putting their hands up to the old traditional phone call, to voice notes. Look at this.
That's communication at its best, though, isn't it? Because when you can voice note somebody, you've got the tones, the emotion. You can't do that in a text. How many times have you had a text and you feel a bit like, hands up if you've received a text and you're like, oh, what does that mean? Like, it might be misinterpreted.
Luke put his hand up straight away
or you've sent one and somebody else has taken it the wrong way. We've got emojis, those things help. But when you send in a voice note, I honestly think that I got into podcasting through voice noting. So if you're thinking about getting into podcasting, guys, what I'd recommend is pick a mate or a WhatsApp group that you're in and just do a daily broadcast to that person or to that mate and be like, hey, you're listening to the whatever, make up a name for a podcast. Do that for 30 days. And then at the end of it, go, actually, I think I could probably do this.
Do you know what? It makes a brilliant point. So Christmas Day, I said to my dad, who's in his 80s, bless him, and he said, what do you want to do? Every year you've got to do something. And I said, I'm going to do a podcast in 2024. And he didn't really understand what a podcast was, which is totally understandable because he was born in 1937. I get it. But I was like, that's what I want to do. But I didn't know how that would manifest. I didn't know whether it'd be on my own, through my business, Origi Bianchi? Would I be just more of a corporate one, speaking to business leaders and, you know, CEOs of this and that? But Chuck, Ollie and I would chat all the time, and we do a lot of voice notes. And it was interesting. I did a voice note after. Does anyone like? Sorry, we keep on doing. Everyone like, but I'm an addict on paddle. But does anyone play paddle tennis here? Oh my God, no.
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
No.
There's an opportunity there.
There's an opportunity. Right, I'm going to debrief.
Paddle day.
Debrief with Ryan immediately. No one in their hands, don't put their hands up.
So Nick plays paddle with Ryan Giggs, and you've played with some of the other class of 92.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, investors of UA92. So I'm really familiar with UA92, but I can't believe no one's put their hands up. So Ryan,
that's a great thing though. Opportunity.
Yeah. But it was I left a voice note after a game of paddle. And the guy came back to me and said, "Oh my God, I've just felt," and Nick, everyone calls me NB. It was like listening to a podcast. And that was the thing that's unlocked it. You talk about UA92 unlocking greatness. That was the thing. That was the message. And then I spoke to you, didn't I?
Yeah. And then I think we quickly decided, let's just do it. Like, don't think, Nick says, don't think, do. Just get it done. And then what we also quickly realized is that we weren't really ready for it. You know, we had the basic stuff, but one of the mics wasn't great. So equipment wise, we weren't, you know, fully equipped. But that's when the saying came to my mind, which isn't mine. It's from a Jack Canfield quote, and it's ready, fire, aim. Not ready, aim, fire, because you're never really fully ready. So it's just ready, fire, aim, you miss. You work out why you missed. Well, okay, we're going to turn it that way. Now we aim again. And I think the importance of that for us, we wouldn't have done the podcast. We probably still wouldn't be ready now, but this is the 22nd episode. So you just got to do things. You got to, like I said before, the voice notes, the repetition of doing it is massive. So if you're thinking about doing something, don't think.
But if you had, I mean, you know, you're all a fantastic audience, like say hands going up straight away. Have you ever thought of going into something, whatever that is, and maybe just, which is totally understandable, just that, haven't got the right equipment, or don't know if I like it, maybe a bit of imposter syndrome, or because we had a bit of that, didn't we? Just like
imposter syndrome, yeah, definitely, still do.
Yeah, you just think to yourself, well, why would they want to listen to us? You know, the class of '92, Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt have just done a podcast, but you're like, well, yeah, they're global figures. You know, they've played for Man United, so of course, but
who's going to want to listen to Ollie Nick Bianchi and Ollie Dunn?
So that goes through your head. But no, I think that's one of my massive learnings in life is if you want to go for it, just go for it, because you can always tweak it. But I think people, like Ollie says, ready, aim, and then panic and think, I better not. I'll do it in 3 months' time, 4 months' time. Well, if you're just ready, fire it, and then you can always tweak it. So the first 2 episodes, we had a bit of a duff microphone.
Audio was shaky.
Audio shaky. Compton can testify. And it was like my voice was quite distant, but it's not the end of the world. It didn't mean the podcast was going to fail. It was just...
On to the next one.
We just bought a new microphone on Amazon. Deal with it.
Keep going. I think authenticity is really important. I think, you know, we talk about making those phone calls, sending those voice notes to your mates. You know, you can be your true self with those people, hopefully, if they are your true mates. And I just think for me, I've made peace with who I am. So I've not got this fear of what people think of me, no fear of judgment, just kind of come into a room like this and just be as open as possible. And that's all I think, for me, that's all you can do, isn't it? Like, you want to wear the pants, you know? I got like a
Cortez. They've got a bit of a kind of South American, Latin American.
Yeah,
Cortez.
Love that. We're going to be getting a link for those, aren't we?
Good merch.
That's why I love like wearing my pink jacket and like that communication, that conversational point. You know, I ride around on a one wheel, which is an electric skateboard, and probably do things a little bit differently, but I don't make any apology for that. I just be who I want to be. And if anything, just double down on that, because that's what life's all about, being who you truly are, being authentic. And then, especially when you're doing stuff like this, broadcasting, content creation, if you're not authentic, then people won't respect it, I guess.
Probably see through it. Do people kind of suffer from that judgment at all? Like, you being judged? Or?
Yeah. I think everybody does, if we're really honest, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, so we're talking about the coping mechanisms. I mean, I can't get you in an ice bath yet, Ollie, but what are the things that keep you nice and tranquilo?
For me, I do play a bit of paddle. Running for me is massive. Hands up if you're a runner, or you like occasionally, whether it's once every...
One,
yeah, okay.
Come on, trousers. Hey, pantaloni. Leva la mano, pantaloni. Trouser man. What's your first name, bro? Stan. Even
Stan the trouser man. Love it. Stan the pants man.
Stan. What a legacy name.
It is a cool name.
Timeless. Like a Rolex watch. I love that.
Granddad's name.
Stan.
Love that.
Timeless classic.
So is it Stanley? Yeah.
And where are you from, Stan? Are you from Manchester? Or? Where? Bristol. Are you from Bristol?
Wow. Nice.
So I just assumed everyone was from Greater Manchester here. No, not at all. Are you from Bristol? No. Where are you from? Blackpool. And you just live, you got apartment, residence, halls of residence here? Yeah. Goodness me. Yeah, that's brilliant.
I love that.
Well,
over international students?
International?
No.
No. International, no. That's
I heard the Italian. I wasn't sure if we had Italian there. She's not saying anything now. Yeah. Gone quiet. I've forgotten where we were there before we...
Just I keep on looking at Stan's trousers. I just think they're just world class.
Do you have Instagram, Stan? Yeah. What's your account handle? Stan BRN. Your pants on that? Can we find the pants on? Maybe. Can we get a picture after this and put the pants on there at Stan BRN?
This is live, but this,
and then the listeners now can go to your account and check that picture out. Right. Yes, love it. Yeah. It's all communication. It's connecting people.
And I think do you know what? I mean, talk about paddle tennis, but I subliminally will. When I go to the airport, I've just come back from Italy, and I'm wearing my paddle stuff. Now, why am I wearing that? Am I wearing it because I just love the sport? I'm passionate about the sport, and it creates conversation. So we just talked about before. I think it was on episode 8, episode 9. We got 2 content creators on for the couple, Victor and Alana, and he loves paddle. And I was in the Ryanair queue, and I had a backpack, like a paddle backpack, and I had like a hoodie as well. And that sparked the conversation. Like when you came in here, Stan, we're just like, whoa, they're good, great product. So
great merch.
Great merch. And I think maybe just like subliminally we do that.
Yeah, that attracted that conversation with Victor and Alana.
That goes red tracksuit. Good look. Yeah, it's good merch.
Yeah,
good merch.
Love it.
Isn't it?
Make yourself memorable. Yeah, we were talking about running, weren't we? And for me, when I start running, almost immediately, I'm like, this was the right thing to do, because it almost does something to my brain. I'm just propelling forwards with this like momentum. My brain almost starts going, right, okay, this is good. This is almost like positive, like the endorphins are kicking in straight away perhaps, but I start figuring things out. I don't know about you, it's like shuffling the deck of cards, or it all starts to kind of make sense, and I'm like, right, I know what I need to do. I just need to deal with this in that way, or message that person, or as soon as I get back from this run, I'm going to, come back from a run, I'm just like, my notes are like crazy. It's like my brain's gone into a different gear.
But what you're saying is fitness is absolutely key to your well-being.
And I probably don't even think about it as fitness, but it is. But it's just a get out, fresh air, the movement of the body, it triggers something in my brain to like want to be productive. So gone are the thoughts, the procrastination, and not kind of being able to get into something. And every time I do it, I'm like, I should start every day with a run. Who starts every day with a run here? Anyone start every day? No. I wish I did. If I could do like a 5K every morning, like Nick does his ice bath, that would be... every day would be a good day.
I gave a talk on well-being in Yorkshire, and this guy, I'm talking about MYM, make yourself memorable, connected with me on LinkedIn. He said, I love your talk about well-being and everything like that. I want to send you a book. Send me a book. So I sent it to Ricky Bianchi in Macclesfield, and his name's Greg Foreman. What a guy. And he sent me a book with a handwritten note. Who sends handwritten notes? Please, if you take anything from this, do handwritten notes.
Even just like a post-it note
just
with
a
little
like, many thanks indeed. Genuinely, MYM, make yourself memorable. Yeah. He did exactly that with a book, Miracle Mornings, and basically 6 great things to do before 8 a.m. And honestly, it's an amazing book. You can obviously download it on Audible or Kindle. And one of the things is I get up earlier now, and I do some reflective time, breath work, and just reading, quiet time. Yeah. So I'm in the zone. But like I said, have to say, and I said this to Renee, I've said this to Mike, I've said this to students, this genuinely, when you walk in here, this is a special place, UA92. Genuinely.
Yeah. Like you say, it's calm, good vibe.
Everyone's chatting, but just like chatting to each other. There's no cliques. As I could see it, that was my observation.
Are we all loving it here? Nick and I are getting FOMO now, aren't we?
But also as well, I've listened to, with Ollie, all podcasts from your heads of departments, being like Owen, which I mentioned to Stacey, the head of marketing, Ian Turner, head of people. Obviously, Marnie, who's the chair of UA92, she won the Ambassador of the Year last week, which I was at the awards dinner. They all speak with such passion.
Yeah.
So if that's coming from the top,
it filters down.
My sense is,
Yeah.
And it's not all about academia, is it? It's just developing you as people, and it's much more focused than certainly when I was at university.
Yeah, I've never been academic, and probably that's why I didn't go to university. However, I think this isn't about being academic. I think this is about giving everybody the opportunity to get a degree and get those qualifications that you need to be in a certain line of in a career. So this certainly wasn't available for me, and I went into the family business. I have no regrets. I believe it all happens for a reason. Yeah. But it's a mega place. I love it.
Yeah. Tell me, one of the other pillars on this talk today, which we're giving live here at UA92, is on spiritual. Are you spiritual?
Am I spiritual? Ooh, hands up if you're spiritual.
I love how he's deflecting.
I know, deflecting that. No, okay, because we spoke about this last night.
Stan? Are you spiritual?
I think spiritual can mean many different things to many different people. It can mean religion. It can mean... to me, it probably means the law of attraction. Anyone down with that or not? Yeah. For me, I feel whether it's a thing or not, it doesn't really matter. I choose to believe that it is a thing because that works for me. But either way, I don't think you can go wrong by thinking that what you put out into the world or the universe comes back. So I guess that's kind of karma. But I know that when I'm out for a run in the morning and I've got the endorphins going and I'm in a really good place and I come back and I'm firing and I get all the jobs done and I do the ones first that I don't want to do. Once then I can do the fun stuff, then I do the content creation, and I'm like thinking of things and ideas, people that I want to collaborate with, opportunities that I want to create, and then I'm going on LinkedIn and I'm posting and I'm like trying to make things happen. When I'm in that sweet spot in my absolute flow, like I am right now, I feel like anything could happen. I could attract. And that's when you do get an email from Blue Peter saying they want you to come on the show and do a live chocolate demo, or Steph's Packed Lunch on Channel 4. For me, I feel like it's when I'm in that vibrational place that these things happen. So that's what spiritual means to me.
I think you're absolutely right. I think what you put out, if you put out good vibes, you seem to get it back. I mean, it's good that hands have gone up about being spiritual. I love that.
Yeah, I respect that.
And I agree. And I feel there is something there.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing is, I believe in God, but you could believe in something else, whatever it is. But if you're a good person, tends to get it back. Talk about things like manifesting.
Being kind. You're being kind to people. They're going to most likely be kind back to you.
Absolutely. And it was funny we talk about what you were thinking about going Blue Peter, but so on one of the episodes with Victor and Alana, we said, "Is there any brands you really want to work with?" And he's working with they're working with really good Marks and Spencers, Reese, everything. He said, "Nick, Ollie, I'd love to work with Aston Martin, the car company." Aston Martin, okay. So that was recorded at 10. So his phone was on silent or is off. So finished about 11:30. He goes onto his phone, turns it on. A DM on Instagram from Aston Martin Leeds.
Is that a manifestation at its finest or what? It's got to be, hasn't it?
Does any of you guys journal? Do you diarise? I mean, diary, keep diaries and just check in and just say, "Hi, I'm Stan. I've got amazing merch." What did you share that, Stan? I mean, do you journal? No.
Hands up if you create content, because I guess that is a form of journal.
What's your name, sir? Leo. Is it Leo? Yeah. So I've got my head right. It's Leo. So Leo, you're content creating. Brilliant. Ollie, take it away.
What kind of content, Leo? Oh, fantastic.
So which football clubs is this?
Oh, brilliant.
Social media.
And is that a really good way to attract new players? And build community? Yeah. And do you feature yourself on there or, And how does that feel? You don't mind? Yeah. I think it's really good practice. And what I find really interesting when you're doing something for a football club or for me doing like sofa stories, it's like, I call it reframing. So I'm not just going on my own personal page going, Ollie the Choc here, which I don't mind doing now. But if I'm reframing it as Ollie here from Sofa Stories, and Leo from the football club, you can be a little bit more like, I'm here to do a job. I'm the presenter from the club. And it somehow enables a little bit of additional confidence, I feel.
Yeah. Leo, which platform do you prefer? Instagram. You prefer the gram?
Yeah.
What about TikTok? No. You don't like it. It's addictive. You don't have it, yeah.
Probably not a bad thing. You can be. Who's
Does anyone like TikTok? Yeah.
Doom scrolling? Are we scrolling?
Hey, Compton, it's bloody addictive, man.
Nick has it. He loves his TikTok. He calls it tickle tockle.
Tickle tockle. Honestly, I don't get it. But I feel there's less judgment on there because you got, and I don't understand how some views just, some posts I do just peter out and just do Mickey Mouse numbers, and others do ridiculous amount, and I don't.
Who's had a post go viral on TikTok? When I say viral, gone a bit crazy. Anyone? No. I think what TikTok sometimes do, it can. We spoke about the El Burrito Monster episode, and he talks about leading the curiosity at the beginning of the video, that first 3 seconds, creating that curiosity and building that curiosity for the first 7 seconds, teasing, showing them something that they might see at the end of the video. And he said once you've got them invested for the first 20 seconds, they're going to stay till the end, and they want to stay to see, perhaps in my case, what thing I make out of chocolate. So there's almost like a little bit of a reward for them, a reason to stay until the end.
But that's interesting. Leo's like, he prefers Instagram.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I mean, Instagram is a fantastic platform. We all use them. I got a YouTube channel. MB and I both use TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So if anyone is on those platforms, Nick Bianchi. Is it just at Nick Bianchi?
What, on Instagram? Nick Bianchi 888.
Same on TikTok.
I lived in China, and lucky number in China is? Correct. 8. Yeah.
Why is that? Is that because it's like
the lucky number in China, and I was living in China at the time, and I didn't have an email address at the time. Okay. So Nick Bianchi, which is 888.
Is it?
Yeah, no it's lucky enough. You ever see who likes footy? Leo, you like football. A lot of the casino sponsors all have 8 on there.
Oh, yeah.
The Chinese, right? So my Instagram's Nick Bianchi 888. LinkedIn. Facebook, a bit old for you guys, right? Bit mum and dad, is it? Is it? I don't know, is it? Grandma. Oh, my God. I don't really do.
Which is why Facebook is really good for me sharing content when it's chocolate parties, kids and stuff like that. So I've got Facebook, Ollie the Choc, and obviously it's the parents that are booking the kids' parties. And I've got a team that do that for me, Manchester and London. But yeah, TikTok is for the fun stuff. Me sneaking into my mum and dad's chocolate shop, getting some chocolate, sneaking some chocolates out, doing stupid things on TikTok really, and Instagram, bit of everything.
No, I think it's really good. One of the things which when we were preparing for this was talking about, on a slightly deeper note, when on the occupational side of well-being, and when things aren't right, it's being able to say, it's everything's because Ollie puts everything into his life, but he can't sustain this. I know you've got coffee helped to course, but Ollie's such a positive, and you give all this energy out, but sometimes sometimes you burn out, sometimes the overwhelm kicks in, and you just need to take some time for yourself. And I do forget that sometimes because I'm just like doing what I love, so it's not a chore, but I'm just constantly putting it out there and on the go. And very rarely do I relax. But really, what should come first is we should all put ourselves first, so that we can be that best person. So there are times where you have to just be honest and say, actually, I'm not going to do that. I can't say yes to everything. So. Yeah, no, I think what Leo was just talking about Instagram and TikTok, and it just made me think. One of the things I've done as a learning is I try and do a digital detox, not for a whole day, but just after 7 p.m. and just or emails as well, because nothing's going to be gained from it. You just just try and be more present. I've got family, and sometimes everyone put their hands up with TikTok. How worryingly addictive it is. And so they're the kind of tools I use. But I was really impressed, Ollie, with you when we were trying to squash it, like do 2 back-to-back episodes for an interview in our podcast. And you just kind of put your hands up and just said, look, Nick, I just, I need a break or something.
Yeah.
And I loved you for that.
Yeah. I want to be the best I can be. And if I feel like I can't show up and bring that best version of myself, then perhaps it's time to say, let's press pause on that. Let's reschedule it.
But I think you and I like to please and like to say yes to things. Are you similar in the room? Or anyone like that? Similar characteristics? You're nodding your head, Luke. Yeah, it's tough to say no.
Yeah.
Nick, do you want to play a game of paddle? Obviously, you don't know what paddle is, but do you want to play it? And I'm like, yeah. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to come to this event? Do you want to come and watch Keane on Saturday? Do you want to go? Whoa, it's lovely. And you're like,
there's a power in saying no, isn't there? There's a power in saying no.
No is a sentence.
Yes, love that.
No, but then I'll try and I don't know if any of you guys do that, but try and justify it. But then I admire other people who are just like, no, I can't make it. Sorry.
I'll give you 2 quotes here. So first one, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Good shout.
That's just one to keep in mind. That's your gut feeling, isn't it? You should know if it's something that you either really want to do or you're not so sure. For me, that quote sometimes helps me. It's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And the other quote, which I've now got so wrapped up with that first one, my brain's ADHD's just gone a bit. I've now forgotten the second quote. Go on. It is the power of saying no. No, my mind's gone blank now. That'll come back to me in a minute.
Just do another quote. It's all right.
Ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire, aim. Hey, I tell you what, we learned one. You love this. You can't add... What?
Yeah, that's a good one.
You can't add days to your life, but you can add life to your days.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of mini breaks. I need these mini adventures to keep me going. So it's in Milan, literally this weekend, for 36 hours. But it's amazing what you can do in that time. Just like seeing all these different... You're the same. You need these mini adventures. You need that.
Yes.
Why? You need to do things, don't you?
Yeah, getting out on the one wheel or getting out for a run, just getting out in nature, that sense of adventure, maybe getting lost and then sort of finding your way back. For me, that gives me just a buzz, really, yeah. And just being out sometimes on your own, like when you're constantly busy and surrounded by people, it's just nice to have a bit of like that me time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's really, really important, especially for us where we're kind of with people all the time. But is there anyone, like, I feel like when we're doing a live audience, it's so important to be interactive. And I know we're doing questions at the end, but...
I've remembered that quote, by the way.
Go on, Chuck. What is it?
Terrible, that, isn't it? Make a decision and line up with it. So if you're making a decision to do something, and it might be something that you don't really want to do. Sometimes in life, I think you do have to do things you don't want to do. Whether it's, so that you don't upset a close friend or family member, you might have to go to that birthday party or do that thing because morally it's the right thing to do. You don't want to do it, but make a decision and line up with it and then look forward to it throughout the week kind of thing. Or if you're not going and you've got a very good reason, you make a decision and line up. You make peace with it. You don't let it kind of like do your head in all week, feeling guilty. You just make that decision and line up with it.
Well, I think we've got a wonderful example. Compton, who is our videographer, but he's massively part of the Sofa Stories team. Compton, wave your hand up. But Compton had a massive decision to make because you just split with his business partner and went alone.
Yeah.
He must have been kind of toying with that Compton about do you, don't you, and everything like that. And look at you now. Got jobs coming out. Yes, you're part of the Sofa Stories team. You're here at UA92. Just like, bravo to you. But I think you're right. I think the trouble is you don't want to go out, and that could be going to the pub or something like that. Just like if you made a decision, be the best version of yourself, and just you've accepted it.
Yeah. But line up with it, make peace with it, embrace it. And I think make it your narrative as well when you're sharing with people, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, or I'm not doing this. And that's cool. Does
everyone know what they want to do after graduating at UA92? Luke's kind of nodding.
Nodding.
Sure. The lady with the blue. What's your name, sorry? It's Katie. So Katie's put her hand up. What would you like to do, Katie?
Wow.
So for the purpose of our listeners, Katie said she'd like to go into cyber security. Is that right?
Wow. That's big. I love that.
And you feel there's opportunities and there'll be kind of like employers you'll gain access to that world through the wonderful work that Renee and Audie. Brilliant.
Have you already got sights set on a position or a company? Yeah.
So Katie's kind of giving it a lot of thought. And are you on the accelerated 2-year, which is another brilliant, you talk about that.
Yeah.
The way they've set UA92 up is just like, it's going to be tailored to you.
Yeah.
Thank God there are institutions like this.
Absolutely.
We're in 2024.
Yeah.
It's not just like, it's the usual 4-year, 3-year degree, and you do those horrible exams at the end of the year, no one sleeps, everyone has that meltdown.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
Yeah.
This is all perfect, isn't it? And you do these accelerated programs. If you don't get in September, hey, no problem. Just go in November.
Yeah. Takes the pressure off. Yeah. Love that.
Cyber security, anything else there? Luke, what do you think? Accountancy, did you say? Oh, cameras.
Yeah.
You're speaking to the right guy. Buy Compton a coffee. Oh, Compton. We'll get you a coffee to buy Compton. Debrief with him, the king of photography. That's good. Cameras. You obviously work in sport, Leo. Commentary.
Nice.
That's interesting.
Do you practice that?
Moving on.
Yeah, that's cool though, but that is practice though, isn't it? It's that repetition of doing it. Even if you're just doing it for fun and maybe being a bit silly with it, but you're still practicing it. Love that.
Good on you, Leo. And about you at the back, anything?
Hey, I've got an idea, Leo. Sorry.
I feel bad about the back.
Can we just say, could you do that as content, Leo, where you get clips from a game and you do the commentary and post it on either your Instagram or the football club's Instagram? Would you do it? Please, will you tag me in it if you do? Because I would absolutely love that. I think that's great practice, but you're putting it out there, a weekly feature or segment or series, and then people expect. Love that. Sorry.
Who's your favourite commentator? Clive Tildesley? Peen Moulenstein?
Gary Neville.
What's a bit harsh? Alan Smith. Yeah, Alan Smith, very good. He's been working on Sky for years. Very, very good. Very good commentator. Yeah. Sorry, gentlemen, I just feel like you're a bit expert on your own there. You know, we're all part of the UA. Everything okay? Anything after, do you think?
Social media. Media.
Yeah, whatever platform media is, because I know you're doing the Red.
So like journalism or... Yeah. In sport or... Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, good man.
I think yeah, sorry, Ollie, go on.
I was going to say, I think it's really good to have a vision, even if it's not the clearest vision, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm still working it out, but I think as you go on that journey, the world changes. There are jobs that become available. You know, podcasting wasn't a thing when I was probably your age, you know, so I think having that vision and just going toward, at least you're going towards something there, aren't you? And then it can all start to change and develop. You might find something like really niche within that.
I think it was really good seeing a YouTube video from one of your colleagues. Would that be the right one? From UA92? Olivia Coleman, I think her name was. And she's done does anyone know Olivia? But I just saw her video on YouTube and she's done an internship just next door, Lancashire Cricket Club. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic.
So you're getting that hands-on experience. Like, I really recommend internships.
Right.
I know we're here to talk about wellbeing, but wellbeing is everything. Because, like, what's your name at the back? Sorry. Jamie. Yeah, so Jamie's absolutely right. He thinks media's going to be where he's at.
Yeah.
Whichever platform. I think newspapers as a media is probably on its way down. Many people read newspapers anymore. I think it's a dying art, unfortunately.
What is the future of media? Is it social media, do you think, or YouTube, or?
Yeah, I don't think social media's going to go anywhere.
No, true. Yeah,
Jamie's saying, I agree totally with Jamie saying he's got, social media is not going anywhere. It's interesting. I've got an 8-year-old son. I know he knows what BBC is, but I don't think it's YouTube when he comes back from school, but it's YouTube.
Hands up if you watch BBC, ITV, like regular TV. Okay. So
Leo, you'd watch it for football, right? I guess. A live sporting event, Sky. That's when I watch TV.
Yeah. And hands up if you watch YouTube quite regularly or just stuff on YouTube. And also, I guess, Netflix. It's kind of...
Netflix. Netflix. Yeah. You put your hand up. Netflix for you, Netflix for you, or not really into TV, or just generally just reading or reading?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Love that.
You need to get that book Miracle before 8 a.m. We could. Yeah.
Okay.
5:45 a.m. Read. Relax.
Does anyone here like getting up early? Oh, okay.
Thank God. You see, Luke, we'd be studying together.
Luke, what time do you like getting up?
What's your name? Lauren.
Okay, nice. Love that.
Lola's the morning. Oh, God. You're my tribe.
Anyone 5 a.m. club? Oh.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
What do you like to do at 5 a.m.?
Katie's
You
like-
up and out or chilling? Yeah. You just don't like to sleep. You just like to... Yeah.
So you're not a great sleeper? Okay. Well, genuinely, these are things that,
that might come in very handy, though. Having that ability to get up at 5 a.m., do your thing.
I love the morning. So Lola loves the morning. Luke likes the morning. So what's your kind of daily ritual in the morning? Relax. Yeah. Perfect.
Cold shower.
Did he say cold shower?
Yeah. Black coffee, cold shower. Your guy.
Right.
Bromance.
If you ever want a job in furniture retail in Macclesfield and Reedy, you've got it. You don't need to put a CV in. You've just already sold it to me. You get up at the time, slightly near when I get up. You have a cold shower. Coffee? Is that coffee?
Yeah, black coffee. Is it?
Great coffee. Coffee's good, man.
Well, Nick's Italian, of course, so he's got no coffee. No. What's your drink? Tell me hot chocolate.
Fine wine. I thought you said wine. I love that. Wine. I love wine at all. Brilliant. No, I think it's important, the whole ritual, whatever that. No, and again, I go back.
And you got to find what works for you. Yeah, you got to find what works for you. So if you're not a morning person, you're sat there thinking, oh, maybe I should. Don't feel guilty that you're not getting. We're all different, aren't we? Like you say, Nick, larks and owls.
El Burrito Monster hates the morning.
Yeah.
There's no chance he's making a burrito at 8 a.m.
And he's still editing videos at midnight.
Yeah. Or even later, or 4 or 5 a.m., So,
yeah.
Hi there, how you
doing?
Yeah,
that's
okay?
True. Hey.
Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. So I think all these things, Ollie, are just are really important, and just it's quite interesting how we're all shaped differently. And again, going back to it, what's so good about UA92 is like this understanding that Lola and Luke are morning people.
Yeah.
So let's get them on the morning shift.
Love that. Are we enjoying this morning, folks?
Is there energy?
There is a good energy in there.
We're really trying to keep it interactive, not being kind of like talked to, and make sure, Yeah,
no, it's really good. I really hope you guys get to check out the podcast. There are some really interesting episodes. El Burrito Monster, of course, Victor and Alana. We had Andy Reid, MBE, who he was injured. He stood on an AID. Is that the right?
EID.
EID, thank you. In Afghanistan. So sadly lost both his legs and his right arm. So he, triple amputee. We interviewed him last week, and that was a really, really inspiring episode because he was so positive and so upbeat. And, he said he lost people in Afghanistan, close friends and things like that didn't get to either have children or see their children grow up. And so he's just grateful to be here. And that puts a lot of things into perspective. And I often say that we're just lucky to be here in the first place. And one thing that he said, which really stuck with me, is that, we're all chasing the dream and stuff like that, but chances are you're already living somebody else's happiness because, be grateful for what you've already got. And he used a couple of examples, somebody in such a situation, well, they would absolutely love to be in yours, so I think it's just a case of being happy where you are. So Andy Reid, that's a really good episode. Any takeaways or guests for you, NB?
I think obviously we are we're in an academic institution, but we're in a sporting institution. Our first guest was a rugby league. Anyone like rugby league here? Luke's nodding, yeah. John Wilkin, retired recently, played for the wonderful St Helens Club. He was so open. He's got some very cool restaurant, coffee places in Manchester called PKV. I don't know if you've ever been in there, but it was interesting because he really opened up and he said that, for many people, I'm known as John Wilkin, the rugby player, played for England, captain England, played 500 times for St Helens, won goodness knows how many medals. But for him, the least interesting part of his career is rugby. Since he pivoted, when I say pivot, since he moved from playing rugby to setting up coffee shops, he's got a brilliant bakery. If anyone likes sweet things, he's got an amazing bakery in Manchester called Half Dozen Other. That's his true self.
That's his passion, isn't it? Yeah, I think he's pivoted from, like you say, the sports world into the business world, and that was what he wanted to do. He actually said he was an academic and was just accidentally good at rugby and ended up pursuing the career in rugby. But I think his career perhaps would have been more academic and possibly, business or...
Yeah, he would have probably worked for one of the big accountancy firms, I'd have thought. But right. I think it's just interesting that he was so open about that.
Yeah. And I think for us, we talk a lot about identity. And I think we let him introduce himself rather than... I think we did a mini intro, but then we said, actually, scrap that, you introduce yourself. And it was certainly a lot more about the business. That was his passion as opposed to the sport. But I think, we meet people all the time, don't we? And it's how we introduce ourselves. So that's the great thing I feel about life is that we've got the opportunity to create the life that we want by changing our narrative and when we meet people, I think that's a really good way to practice that introduction and that identity that we have by saying, I'm Ollie, I'm a chocolatier, podcaster, etc. Or I could just say, I'm Ollie, I'm a presenter. And they also do chocolate. But it's how you want to be perceived by people. You can dictate that. And I think if you believe in a certain thing that you do and share that with such optimism, other people will believe in you for that as well. And when other people believe in you, I think that's where the magic happens.
But also going back to like Leo was saying, Ollie, he can see he's passionate about commentating. I could see him on a flight to Mallorca or something like that, sitting next to someone and saying, "What do you do, Leo?"
Yeah.
So me, UA92, walk tall, shoulders back, but I'm a commentator. You know what I mean? You own that badge. I was on the flight to Milan saying I've got a podcast, Sofa Stories with Ollie,
Yeah.
Just wear that tag. Some tags, when I've delved into other areas, I'm not so... I was proud of having a gin business, but I did a bit of football agency. That I set up and founded a football agency, but I struggled with the tag of being a football agent. Because I'm not... you probably got an idea of what a football agent, does.
Yeah, there's some stigma. And it's a bit like the word influencer. We used that before. With Victor and Lana, we joked about that being like, are we okay to say that influencer? Or is there a bit of a negativity attached to that, a bit of a stigma? But it's funny, like you say, these tags that we wear, but we get to choose that, I guess, which is cool.
But anyone in the room who'd ever want to do a podcast?
Yeah.
Honestly, I cannot tell you. How many? Can you mind to do a show of hands? Or was it kind of late? You at the back, yeah. And obviously, Luke.
Wow. Okay. So how?
La ragazza italiana, and that is. And what's your name, sir? Ameka. Perfect. Ameka's been a lot of hands. Like, brilliant. Thanks for your brilliant participation. I need another coffee. Ameka said that it's.
So you'd like to do a podcast?
I cannot tell you.
Yeah.
How this is transformed my life, doing a podcast.
You said that this unlocked you, didn't you?
Completely.
And the reason why I think it's unlocked him is because, like I was talking about framing something differently, Nick's kind of been able to go, I'm Nick from Sofa Stories, and wear that badge and walk into a room and walk tall and say, yeah, I've got a podcast. And it's also enabled you to practice and get the reps in, the repetition like we spoke about earlier, and refine the craft of speaking and communication and interviewing people. Like you said, previous to that, it was, there might be an event at Origi Bianchi and you would come out and do a talk, which is fantastic and an honour, 170-year-old business, legacy business. But you're not being able to use that and activate that often enough. So if you're thinking about doing a podcast, like Nick says, it's unlocking, and that's powerful.
And you're meeting the most unbelievable. And by the way, here, you've got access. The database here, you can connect. If you just decided to, Sam, and I don't know if Renee's the overall head lead coach or so. Okay. Just say, look, I'm going to start a podcast. You don't need much, do you?
No.
And then you can
record it from your phone. You could
record it. We've done an episode from my phone.
We've done an episode from the phone. Yeah.
And you just get starting, and then you just learn along the way, and then you get a couple of guests in. And
we sat in the car with the phone and a lapel mic connected to, just with the lapel mic in the middle of the car. Great acoustics in the car, by the way. And it sounded no different to this, did it?
Yeah, no.
It sounded great. Ameka, what would your podcast content be? Do you know?
Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories. Oh, love that.
Well, no, that's a whole different wall.
Wow.
Live pause, guys. Lola, stop what you're doing. No one move.
Nobody move. Nobody get hurt.
Talk to me. What? Go. We've got a microphone for Ameka.
Maybe flat Earth.
Sorry? Flat Earth. Are you a flat earther? No, there's no judgment here, by the way.
No judgment. UA92.
Yeah. And, it's flattish. Yeah.
And there's like lizard people.
Lizard people? Mate, we could do a whole episode on this with you.
Oh, my God. I love this.
Maybe we should do it.
It's funny, just your colleague behind you, as soon as you say conspiracy theory, you lighten up there,
Really?
Yeah.
So you've got one listener already, Ameka. You got to do this.
Conspiracy theory. Wow.
Ameka, can you come here and tell one conspiracy theory or not? One little one, or a little fact about something on the mic. A little fact about lizard people.
Have you got a lapel mic or?
No, you can come here.
You could come here, yeah. Well said, Compson.
Yeah, don't overthink it. There's no wrong way. Yeah, go on, sir.
Good lad, Ameka.
So you just just jump in there, my man.
Just no rules. No rules, man.
Well, in terms of the lizard people, I think that since like the beginning of time, there's been a set of like walking lizard people. Because if you look at in the Bible in the beginning, there was in Adam and Eve, the Adam and Eve story, there was the lizard or the serpent that was talking to Adam and Eve, and he was walking on two legs. But when he tricked Adam and Eve to eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, he got cursed by God. So then he lost his legs. So that must mean there was like snakes walking on two legs. So there could be snakes walking on two legs today. And they could either be like shapeshifters or be wearing like human skin suits. So they could be in government or they could be in this room right now. You never know. I could be a lizard person right now and you wouldn't know.
Wow. Do you think like any particular leaders, like Donald Trump maybe?
No, I think Donald Trump's human, but I think Kamala Harris is a lizard person.
What about Elon Musk?
Probably, yeah.
I think Elon Musk is a lizard.
What about, because my wife, Kim, is massively into conspiracy theories, particularly Bigfoot. Is that a thing for you?
I haven't really researched into Bigfoot.
She's obsessed with the Bigfoot thing.
Really?
Yes, she listens to podcasts on it all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I just think the whole conspiracy theory, I think it's such an interesting debate. It's so interesting you've just said that. I mean, I've got my conspiracy theory who assassinated a president in the United States in the 1960s, but I love the way you've just taken it completely to, I love that. Lizards,
this is the beauty of live, though. You never know, anything can happen.
I love the fact, I really appreciate sharing that, man. Really good.
My guy.
What a guy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a guy.
There's inspiration all around us, guys. Everybody here has got a story, and that's why communication is so important. That's why it's important to like break into conversation with people, wear the pants, have the conversations, get the inspiration from
no
that
judgment,
person.
though. That's the most important.
100%.
There's no judgment.
No.
And I get that feeling, and I said when we walked into the building here today, everyone's just nice, and I think everyone knows each other, and I think that's kind of reflected in the relationships that the students have with the lecturers, and you know.
I would love to say that we will stick around for a bit after. Anyone that wants to speak about anything at all, one-to-one, if you think about doing a podcast, we'd love to hear about it, even just have a chat if you have any questions. But before we do that, guys, before we wrap up entirely, does anyone have any questions that you can ask us right now?
Okay, Katie, isn't it? Yeah, Katie's put her hand up. Yeah.
Out there question, but do you think like that life takes you on the path that you're meant to be on, or do you have to kind of purposely put effort into following a path?
That's a lovely question. I like that.
So they're listening now.
So the question that you're asking, Casey, is do we think that life takes you on a journey almost like it's written for you, and we're just kind of the passenger in the ride? We get on the roller coaster, which for me it feels like sometimes. Or are we in control? It's not a roller coaster, it's a car that we're driving it and we can take it where we want. Personally, I've had moments where I've understood both of those and sometimes feel like I'm not in control of my life, like it's all just happening around me. But I think if I was going to be really honest, I would believe that we drive and we create our own life. And you look back at moments, perhaps like this today, and you connect the dots and you think, well, I met that person through this, and then this happened, and I did something nice for them, and then they wanted to help me back in return, and you sort of connect all the dots. And it might be a weird thing, like you might be on an aeroplane and you just start talking to the person next to you. You connect on Instagram, and then years later something happens. So I truly believe that we are in control, and that gives me a lot of kind of excitement and hope and optimism that we're in control of changing the narrative. What about you?
A brilliant question, by the way. Any takeaways I could give is surround yourself with people who really cheerlead you and are on your side and your tribe and will encourage you. And
I think, you need people who believe in you more than you believe in yourself, I think.
And it's lucky of timing. I couldn't do this podcast on my own. Not a chance.
No.
It's so much effort. And, we've got a great team, obviously, with Compton, but doing it with Ollie and, all the research into all the guests we have in, and
the podcast is the car. This is driving opportunities to meet and sit down and interview really interesting people.
But it's all about nerves. I remember we recorded our first episode 26th of June. So we recorded it on the 23rd. Our Saturday's the 26th. And I'm making an omelette at home, and Ollie's phones me and says, I'm just about to press it. I'm like, what does that mean? He said, well, I'm going to put it on the Instagram and you're going to invite you as a collaborator. And I'm like, I'm making the omelette. I'm like,
you've been exposed to the world.
Well, I was like,
these intimate conversations that you thought nobody was listening in on are going out.
I just wanted a kind of like easy entrance, and I was like, and then I was like, invite to collaborate. I don't know if you've done those or anything. I was like, accept, and I was like, boom. Then next minute, NB, I didn't know you do a podcast. What's it about? What? You know,
just jump into it. Jump in.
And now, you know, we are here, the wonderful UA92,
and we're on this journey, and we hope you'll come with us
and we're meeting
follow the pod.
Like Amika, like Katie, like Stan, like Luke, like Leo, like Jamie.
Exactly. I love that. Katie, what do you think about that? What's your answer to your question? So I often think that sometimes we ask these questions, but I think if we were to ask ourselves the question, we know the answers more than we realise.
I think it's a bit of both. I think you do yourself have the power to change like your outcome in life, but I also think that the nature of life itself just throws.
I agree. Yeah, so Katie, just for the listener, said she thinks it's a bit of both. We've got the power to drive and create opportunities and things, but also life is, and you know, nature is unpredictable. Look at the tornadoes in Florida last week. Kind of derailed me a bit last week. It's got friends that live there in Florida, and so there's stuff like that, whether it's Mother Nature or just the weird coincidences and things that happen, and that there are things that are out of our control. But one thing that we are in control of is the way we react to things that happen. Lots of really bad things happen in life, and we can't do a lot about that. But yeah, all we can do is how we react to it, is how we come back from it. No right or wrong way, but ultimately, yeah, we do have control, I guess, even during difficult times.
But don't you find though, through this pod, the amount of coincidences, but in inverted commas, air quote, are they coincidences?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's why we talk. Is it a coincidence, or did we manifest it? Is it a manifestation? I personally like to feel that we've created these manifestations. There are too many coincidences for me for it to be just another coincidence. I'll give you one thing, but very quick, because I know that we've got to wrap this up now. I wanted to be a presenter. I applied to be a Blue Peter presenter. I sent in a show reel through YouTube, my first YouTube video, and I made a chocolate Blue Peter badge. I had a picture of me holding this big chocolate Blue Peter badge in my workshop, and every single weekend families would come for chocolate parties, week in, week out, and they would always say, have you been on Blue Peter? And I'd say, no, I applied to be a presenter, didn't get the job, but I'm going to be on there one day because I know that they'll keep me in mind when they need a chocolatier to go on Blue Peter. This was my narrative. I talked this every single week. That was my narrative. Talked it into existence, because one week got a phone call from Jack, head producer at Blue Peter. What are you doing next Tuesday? Do you fancy coming doing the live show? And there was no connection to the original team that I met at Media City. There were none of the same people were there. He heard about me through somebody else. So I honestly believe that I talked that into existence and manifested it. I know it can be a bit,
but it's interesting. When I was at uni, how long we got, Helen? We've got two. Are we good? Lovely to see you.
Okay, thank you, Helen.
I'm loving this. You've got amazing students, by the way. From Lola to
it's been
Katie
great interaction today, great energy.
Jamie at the back, everyone's just adding huge value, this wonderful UA92. But it's quite interesting because remember I was at uni, undergraduate, French, Spanish, Italian languages, but no idea what I wanted, but I knew I needed to go into languages. My sister phones me up, who's up in Manchester, I'm in Bristol. Who said Bristol before?
Yeah.
Bristol. Stan, obviously.
Stan the man.
Great merch. And said, Nick, found in the Manchester Evening News. So I'm 52, so I'm going back into the 90s. Said, this candidate must speak 3 languages and, underlined, listen to this, Leo, have an interest in football. So I'm listening to this on the old landline phone when they were around. So I was like, Sarah, do not lose that article, because this was pre-internet.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make it happen. I applied, got the job. Like 2 months later, Inter Milan are coming to Manchester, and I'm interpreting for them. And then I'm going with Man United to Juventus. I'm like, what the hell? I was
Wow.
at Bristol Uni like a few months ago.
And become friends with the players,
Yeah, with the
and Sir
players,
Alex, good,
yeah.
great friend of yours.
Amazing. Unbelievable.
The opportunities that's created. So you went after it. You couldn't lose that piece of paper, though. It wasn't like a digital copy now. You got a screenshot. If you lost that advert...
Oh, that was it. So we did the interpreting. I'm only talking it's like football. But you know, you've got to be, one of the things that UA92 like really impresses resilience, right? I'll tell you one of the most horrendous things that have happened, but I've had to bounce back from it. So I was doing the interpreting for United, and then England said I was doing the interpreting. Said, could I do the interpreting for England v Italy? So I was like, yeah, okay. So I went down to London, and then Italy came over. Obviously, we're playing at Wembley, but the day before was at the training camp, and I got there, and I think I was a bit blown away because there was so many chairs in this room. So I was like, and for when I was doing it for United, it was just like the game, it all happened so quickly. I'd be up doing the tannoy, il gol segnato dal numero 10, Alessandro Del Piero, the goal scored by Juventus, number 10.
So when I was a kid on this tannoy, that voice, that was you. That was
me.
mad.
But then I jumped straight into a press conference. I wouldn't think. It was just, whereas this England thing, I had too much time to think. I just saw chairs and chairs and chairs and chairs. I was like, okay. And then it was sat down. All I could see is a sea of people. Glenn Hoddle. Do you remember Glenn Hoddle? Does that ring a bell? Manager? Yeah. And then the FA press guy, and there was me. And this press guy was like, I'd just like to say Nick Bianchi is going to interpret every question and then reply, and then Glenn Hoddle will reply. That was the format.
Yeah.
So normally the first question in every press conference is like, so then Beckham was playing. So sta giocando Beckham or not? Is David Beckham going to play? Because he was a bit injured just before that. Instead, this long question came through. So I'm like writing it down, like, hurry up, man. So I said it back in English from Italian to Glenn Hoddle.
Yeah.
Glenn starts speaking, to which, in like where Amica is, like this road, this Italian guy stood up and said, no. What is he talking about? The question was why the player Del Piero carried on. Completely humiliating me in front of 200 people. I was like, so how I got through that press conference, I don't know. Wow,
that does build your resilience.
So we went to press, because that's everything UA92 stands for, resilience. And I made that point because I've understood, I've really tried to get under the veneer of like UA92, character development and everything.
Yeah.
I then go up and do the TV stuff, which is literally short questions. And I thought the FA guy was going to say, look, Nick, thanks a lot, here's the train ticket back to Manchester.
Yeah.
And he said, it went okay, didn't it? And I was like, what I'm saying to you, how in life, you have to overcome challenges.
And don't let derail you.
Like one of the kind of good rights for a bloke is to do a best man speech. There's no features or benefits.
No.
But nothing can be as bad as being humiliated in front of 200 people.
Can we just share a little anecdote there where you did do something, it was luckily went right? Was that the goal where you weren't...
Oh, can I quickly indulge in this? We're just on football because Leo likes footy. So at Old Trafford, the tannoy is just where the away fans are. So Man United were playing Juventus. The game had started. I'm with Marie. I think she's still at United now. Gary and they'll all know Marie. She's been there years. And there's just a little coffee machine, like not as posh as your Cafe 92 Starbucks. Double espresso roast. Nice. So I said to Marie, the game had just started. I said, Marie, do you want a coffee? So I turned around to make a coffee. Juventus score in the first minute. So it's up to me to give the announcement who scored for Juventus. But I have absolutely no idea, Compton, who scored for Juventus. And I've got no TV in this little box, yeah? So I'm knocking on the door of where the Italian fans were, la Juve. I'm like, ma chi è segnato? Like, who scored? And they can't, we've got glass there. So in the end, I just winged it and said, Del Piero.
Del Piero!
I thought, well, he's the best player for Juventus, and he was. So I was like,
it was.
Completely winged it.
Well done. Hey, I am conscious of time. I can't thank you enough for having us this morning, Helen, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks so much for your participation. And I hope that you will come with us on our Sofa Stories journey. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thanks very much indeed. You've been an amazing guest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.